record it, or there we go, we're all recorded there now. Just gonna reintroduce myself. Hi, I'm Chelsea Cake. This is Emma Wiper, and we're graphic designers, and this is Instagram 101. All right, so we did a little introduction there, but we are also going to have a question period at the end where we're just talking about keeping your mics off and stuff like that. So please feel free, like at the end, there will be a question period. You guys can ask us whatever you want. If you don't feel comfortable with your camera and your microphone on, because we are recording and we'll be posting to social media, you can type in the chat box there below and we will read your question out and answer it to the best of our abilities. Okay, so moving on to our table of contents about what we're going to discuss today. So we already did our introduction, who we are and why we're qualified to teach this. Number two, we're going to be talking about what is an aesthetic, the literal definition of an aesthetic, and how it's used on Instagram. Number three, we're going to be talking about color theory, talking about how to use color when expressing certain topics and what colors look well together. Number four is branding, how to show the world your work the right way with an explainer on metrics. So we'll get into that later. And then we're going to be doing a demonstration on Canva. Now, Canva is an open source design software. It's free to use. So if you'd like to follow along, we're also going to be encouraging people, if you want to make your own posts after and put them on Instagram, tag us at SkillsCanadaNL. We would love to see your work and what you create after. And we'll do a little discussion on some other softwares. And then number six is questions. So that will be our question period if there's anything that you guys would like to ask us. Okay, so if we're all good, we're gonna move on to our first thing here. What is an aesthetic? Okay, so aesthetic is a word that's kind of been thrown around a lot. It's thrown around a lot on Pinterest. It's thrown around a lot on Instagram and Snapchat, all kinds of different stuff. It's become a very trendy word. Now, in today's definition, like the trendy word of aesthetic, that usually means like, oh, I wear a certain type of clothing, or I may wear like all kinds of like light clothing, or I may like wear dark clothing. But in the traditional sense of design, aesthetic means a set of principles underlying and guiding the work of a particular artist or artistic movement. So think of it as literally guidelines. It's a fill in the blank for creating an awesome style for your Instagram and all your different brands. So I've just got some 3 pictures here, and we're going to go into these brands' Instagram and kind of discuss it a little bit. So the first one I have is Glossier. Glossier is a pretty famous makeup brand that started to get on the rise a few years ago. They started to become super popular due to their use of social media, Instagram, marketing, and advertising. Now, if you notice in their pictures here, a lot of Glossier's products kind of have a theme. They're all soft pink and white. That is their theme, and they stick to it really religiously. So let's head over to their Instagram here. So this is the Glossier Instagram. Now notice, most of their pictures have an underlying theme of pink and white. It doesn't matter if the product is there or not. Most of the models are either wearing soft pink shirts or soft brown shirts so that it sticks really well into their color palette. Now that is their aesthetic. Their aesthetic is their color palette. And another cool thing you can notice here is they've got an Animal Crossing post. That's because Animal Crossing was a game that came out a little while ago that's very trendy and popular with the younger generation. They use that by putting their brand into the actual game, like their sweater with their logo, and then getting people to take picture of their characters and share it on social media. That really blew up their engagement because they had people posting pictures of themselves playing in the game. But notice everything is still pink and white. That's their theme. That's their aesthetic. It is their key to creating a very consistent brand. So that's Glossier. So let's go back to our second example there. Apple. So Apple is a company that we all use a lot. A lot of us have iPhones, we have MacBooks or Apple Watches, all kinds of different stuff like that. So yeah, we use Apple a lot in our everyday life. Now, a lot of people wouldn't think that Apple has a, say, aesthetic. They don't really have colors that they really stick with besides white. But if we head over to their Instagram, let's just take a look. So here is Apple's Instagram. Now notice the funny thing, it's not a color palette that they fit with, but a theme. Now remember, an aesthetic is a guideline, so it doesn't necessarily have to be color. All of their pictures that Apple has, you will never really find a picture of their devices. You won't see an actual MacBook. You won't see an actual iPhone. Instead, what you will see is all these beautiful pictures that people have taken on iPhones, Or look at all these cool places that you'll go if you have an iPhone or you have a MacBook. Look at all this cool stuff. So Apple really pushes the idea of a lifestyle aesthetic. Look how cool you are if you have an iPhone. It also does really good things for their engagement because a lot of these pictures are from actual influencers who take shots with iPhone, who are paid to do that, who all have millions of followers themselves. So Apple gets a crazy boost in engagement because they have tons of new followers hitting their page every day from these other companies. But yeah, Apple doesn't follow a color aesthetic, it follows a theme aesthetic. Okay, so we're gonna go on to our third example here. And this is Lululemon. All right, so a lot of us wear Lululemon. I love their leggings, they're super comfortable. And the same thing with Lululemon. They don't quite follow a color aesthetic, but more of a theme aesthetic. So we're gonna head over to their Instagram and have a little look. So here on Lululemon, they're very similar to Apple with which they have pictures of other people on their Instagram, but instead of not featuring their own products, they have all these people wearing their stuff. They're wearing all their different gear. They've got, look how cool I am when I've got Lululemon leggings on and all this different stuff. And a lot of these people, again, have lots of different followers who all come over to Lululemon when they've been tagged, but they promote a very, exercise lifestyle, a healthy lifestyle, and that is their aesthetic. It is a theme and guideline that they follow for their social medias. Okay, so we also have created a couple of demo Instagrams. This would be something that you could use on your personal account. This is some of Emma's photography. So notice her aesthetic would be her flowers. Most of her posts are themed with the flowers. Now the colors aren't really that similar. We've got purples and reds and yellows and oranges, but there is a consistent theme here in her Instagram. And that's what would help people, recognize your Instagram and connect it in their head to a certain thought. We've also created another demo. Now this one has a ton of different portraits and different places and, animals and abstract objects, but the theme is within black and white. So this is my photography, but if you want to have different objects and stuff like that, or different people, and that's not consistent, connect it with color. That's the best way to do it. All right, so those are our demo Instagrams, just so you could look and see what you could actually tailor your personal or your business Instagram to. So now that we've talked about aesthetic, we're gonna move on to color theory. Okay, color theory. We learn a lot about this when we're a little bit younger. Think about elementary school when you learn about your primary colors, your secondary colors, all kinds of fun stuff like that. So here on our color wheel, we have our colors, and then you can see the arrows point to complementary colors across from each one, like yellow has a complementary to purple. So that is how designers use the color wheel to pick out colors for a brand, by making sure that the colors are complementary and work well together. Now there's a little bit of an easier way to do this because sometimes you don't want to stare at a color wheel all day and figure out your 4 different colors for your brand, because that can get a little bit complicated, especially if you don't have, advanced training in color theory. So the easiest way to do this is honestly go to Google and Google color palette. Emma's going to show us there now. So these are all little color palettes that Emma's found off the internet. So she just Googled a light color palette, a red color palette, pink color palette. You just go to Google and you Google, oh, I'd like a purple color palette. And it will just honestly give you a bunch of different results for all kinds of different colors that you can incorporate in your branding, you can incorporate in your Instagram, you can incorporate in everything. You will notice that brands like Walmart and that their blue and yellows have a color palette. It's literally in their brand guidelines, and they use it throughout all their posts to make sure it's as consistent as possible. But yeah, just go to Google and Google a color palette, and that's the easiest way to theme your Instagram. Okay, Emma's just gonna show us. See? All kinds of different color palettes right there. They're all free, ready to use. Okay, so we're gonna head back to our little demonstration there. So we've talked a little bit about color theory, where to find your color palettes, how to theme it all together. So we're gonna move on to our next slide here. And this is branding. Now I'm gonna leave this one to Emma because Emma is amazing at this type of stuff. So Emma, take it away.
So we've made it into 3 key points for you guys. Just keep them really simple, and they're a lot easier to follow than getting really in depth into it. So the first one we have is consistency, second community, third is content. Consistency is constantly adhering to the same principles, course form, etc. If you have a black and white Instagram, you don't want to have a neon green picture right in the middle. People are going to be very confused by it. It doesn't really make sense. It doesn't follow your aesthetic, like going back to that what Chelsea said. It doesn't really follow your brand. You don't want to throw people off. You want people to get a clear vision of what you guys do, like what kind of like vibes you guys give off. You really want to stick to just you. So you got to decide that before you start posting. You don't want to figure that out like on your way. I'd say get a clear idea of what you want, and just follow that. Eventually other people will see what you're doing, and they'll follow the same thing, and they'll be like, oh, I really like this. I'm going to give them a follow. I'm going to like follow along with these people. They'll like your post, they'll comment on your post, like they may even share stuff on their story of you, and then that'll give you more exposure, and then you just kind of build up from there. Your community is probably the biggest thing that you can like give your Instagram. Like growing a community on Instagram is probably like the best thing for you to do. It's a group of people that will interact with you and your posts. You want to put out, again, a positive impact on people. Like a lot of people use social media for in a positive way. A lot of it is sometimes can be very negative, but you don't want to give that off, especially as a brand. People don't want to have a negative effect from your brand. It doesn't look good. It'll never look good. So ignoring people is not good. Like when people comment on your post, maybe they'll be like, hey, where did you get this from? Or hey, how can I do the same thing? Instead of ignoring them and stuff like that, like try and provide the best possible answer that you can. Like those are the people that are in your community. You don't want to ignore those people, because eventually they'll be like, oh, they don't really care what I have to say. I'm going to unfollow and I'm going to leave them. And that's not good. And then if people ask about your brand, they'll be like, oh, I asked them a question 3 weeks ago and they haven't answered me. You don't want that, like, especially when they're trying to build you up in a way. And the last one is content. So that's your post, caption, hashtag, profile, anything like that, your photos that you post. Even your bio on Instagram, that is your brand. Like, you have to build that up. You have to know what you're posting. Your hashtags are really important. They have to be relevant to what you're posting. You don't want to have a picture of a flower, then have hashtag car. It doesn't make any sense. And when people are trying to find your posts, they're going to not be able to know where the posts are, like what kind of effect you're putting on people in a way, like what you're posting, like if it was flowers and you say like hashtag cars and stuff like that, you don't want people that are looking at cars to see your post and they're like, that has nothing to do with cars, I'm just going to scroll past. It doesn't really make any sense. Your photos, again, going back to consistency, have to be consistent. You don't want to throw people off. It doesn't look good, especially when you're looking at a page itself as well. You don't want everything like messed up. Your captions have to be worded very well. You don't want to give people it has to be very straightforward in a way. You don't want people to you say one thing and people think another thing. You have to be very good with your words and stuff like that. So yeah, that's pretty much branding, consistency, community, and content. That's pretty much what you got to remember when you're trying to brand yourself on Instagram.
And just going back to community there, we also have to think about community and social media as like customer service. So if somebody posts something like a negative review of your company or they had a negative experience, you should acknowledge that. You should reach out and see how you can help. If you were working as a service person in Walmart and somebody came up to you with a bad experience, you wouldn't just ignore them because that's considered bad customer service, or you wouldn't be rude. So a famous person once said, a brand is an experience, it's a feeling. So if a customer has a bad feeling, or if a person has a bad feeling with your brand, that's going to end up being a bad brand because people are going to associate it with negativity. So yes, always think of it as like a customer service thing. Don't, as Emma said, be the brand or the business that goes MIA when people are trying to reach out to you, because people are going to get frustrated very easily and leave a bunch of negative reviews and stuff like that. Okay, so we're ready to move on to the next slide there. Okay, metrics. So we're just going to talk about a few things here. Me and Emma are going to shoot back and forth on some of these questions. So what is a good time to post? We get asked this a lot, and it can change certainly depending on what's happening. Like COVID has really changed the ways that posting times work. So usually when we would consider like the normal, you would try to aim for like a lunchtime or an afternoon time or an after supper. Think times that people are going to be on their phone. On a lunch break, people are going to be on their phone. In the afternoon, people tend to take more phone breaks because it's not the morning. They're not working as hard. They're kind of like, oh, I want to get home. I want to get this on the go. After supper is also a good time because that's usually after parents have cooked the food and they're sitting down, they're kind of relaxed a bit. They're, before the kids are getting ready for bed. Also think about your target demographic. So certain people, if you're targeting an older, generation, you may want to change the times up. If you're targeting a younger generation, it depends. Teenagers tend to go to bed really late. So some companies tend to stagger their posts towards the evening because they'll be sitting on their phone in bed. And then, so depending on your demographic, you just want to change it up and just, think in line with that. But with COVID, we've honestly been finding the afternoon times work really well, but also people are on their phones all the time now, especially with the work from home environment. A lot of people are just honestly checking their phones throughout the day. They're checking different emails, they're going through all kinds of different stuff. So yeah, that's how things have changed a little bit with COVID. So I'm just going to talk a little bit about the next question.
Yeah, so the next question is, how do I get more followers? Now, going back to branding, you're going to have to interact with your community, look at active hashtags that are related to your brand itself. Don't go looking at other hashtags that have nothing to do with your brand. You're not really going to benefit from it. You can do this in a few ways as well. Interacting with people is really good. Leaving comments on other people's posts is also a really good way to do that. Another way is you can promote yourself, but that would cost money. We're trying to keep this as like user friendly as possible. Like maybe you don't have the funds for Instagram, or maybe you just don't want to spend money on it, because some people do consider social media as like not important, even though it's like in 2020 and like this generation, it's a very big thing. So really interacting with people is probably going to be the most efficient way to gain followers, and like just let people know that you're interested in what they want to say and what they have to say to you. Like if they're like, oh hey, like I really like this post, be like, oh hey, like elaborate on it. Don't just be like thanks, or just don't just be like their comment. I understand that there's going to be like when you grow your brand, there's going to be a lot of comments. Know that you can't reply to all of them. You can try. Like if you get 1 million followers and say like 500,000 people comment on one post, it's a lot. Like try and just be like, know people, like you want to answer their questions kind of thing. Don't just leave it like be like, oh, they're just commenting, like I'm just going to ignore their question like last time. You really don't want to do that. So getting more followers, being as interactive as possible is probably the best thing I could say. And just if you want to starting off smaller, like say you only have like 10, 50, 100 followers, you're going to want to interact, like comment on other people's posts. As you get bigger, you can start to stop doing that, but as a smaller brand, you're probably going to want to like even collaborate with people and like do promo with other people. It's all depending.
All right. Awesome. So how COVID-19 has changed social media? So we do get this question a lot, especially as designers, but I'm just going to try and keep it as brief as possible within this question. A lot of businesses are very much investing in social media right now because that's the only way that they can reach people. A lot of companies in that when the in-stores were shut down, you couldn't go in and see their sales signs. You couldn't go in and see this. I believe that online shopping like jumped a huge quarter within the sales. So yeah, a lot of businesses are very much reinvesting within social media. So yeah, that's how COVID-19 has changed. We're seeing tons and tons of more posts. So as Emma said, you want to try and make sure that you're hashtagging everything correctly, or it's just going to get lost in the huge giant flow that is COVID-19 Instagram. Okay, what are good hashtags to use? I'll let Emma talk about this super briefly.
Yeah, so again, going back to how do I gain more followers, posting flowers and cards and hashtagging like different ones, it's not going to work. You want to find people and people want to find you. Like that's pretty much it. That's using hashtags is the most efficient way to do that. So using hashtag like for like, and you'll get some likes from that, or like hashtag follow for follow kind of thing like that. Those are really big ones. And hashtagging smaller hashtags, like I know a lot of people hashtag everything, like hashtag computer, hashtag keyboard, hashtag mouse kind of thing. You can do that, but a lot of people are also going to be doing that. So your post, if it's not seen right away, it's going to get lost with everyone else's. So yeah, I'd say always include like where you're from as well, like hashtag like living in Newfoundland. I'd say hashtag like NFLD or like hashtag YYT, something like that, just to let people know that like you're in that like province, or you're in that state or country, anything like that. You don't have to be specific and like put your address on, but like stuff like that, just letting people know that like, oh, this was taken, like photography wise, oh, this was taken like wherever. And you can also include that in your post as well on Instagram. You can tag where you took that picture, and people will be like, oh my god, I live like 15 minutes away from there. And then people would be like, I'm going to follow this person because they obviously know good places around here, kind of thing like that. So hashtags, going back to that, is probably like just keep hashtags relevant to your post. Even if you post, you don't want a theme, say you don't want a theme and you don't want an aesthetic, just don't post the same hashtags like over and over again. I'd say the only hashtags that you really need to use in posts is that'll be consistent is like for like and follow for follow. And you can find a lot of different variations on that as well. They don't have to be like, just like I said, like for like. It could be like hashtag L for L, because that means like the same thing. A lot of people do that just to like get their post out there. Oh, yeah.
Awesome. Thanks so much for that. The last question here is why you should grow social media. I have gotten this question a few times, and the biggest answer I can have for it is so people can find you. Depending if you're a business or a brand or you're doing personal work, most people are going to try and find you through the internet. They're going to look you up, see if you have a Facebook, see if there's pictures on your Facebook, see if they can validate your business, see if you've got an Instagram so they can see your work and all kinds of stuff like that. So yeah, they want to make sure that you're a business. And as Emma said, hashtag in your area can be really well, because your posts are going to start showing up on their page if they're in the same area. That's called geotagging. So that works really well, because if I look up, let's say I'm a pizza shop and I've got a customer, if my customer looks up pizza, then he's going to start seeing my pictures because we're located in the same area, because I hashtag St. John's. So yeah, so those are some questions on metrics. We're going to move on to our next slide there. Okay, demonstration. So we are going to do a little bit of a demonstration on Canva. Now, Canva is an open source design software. So Emma's just getting over to it there now. There are tons of other programs to use, guys. There's Adobe Spark. There are also some paid softwares. Adobe Spark is free, but there are paid ones like Illustrator and Photoshop and InDesign, and I think Affinity Designer in that as well. So there are tons of different things if you're looking to pay for a software, but there's also some great free options as well. And Canva is the one we're going to talk about today. So you can see here now that there are hundreds of templates. There's so many templates on Canva for all of your different needs. So we're going to open one up and show you guys a little quick demo on how to kind of edit that thing around to make it work for you. Okay, so here is our editing layout right here in Canva. So I'm going to start by explaining the black bar on the left side first. So here we go. We have the first thing we see is templates. So this will give you all kinds of different options for all the templates you're looking for. If you want a template for, let's say, a book cover or something like that, just search it and you should see a bunch of results. Some of these are going to be paid for premium features, but there's a lot of free options as well, so you can find what you're looking for. All right, so we'll go on to the next one, uploads. So uploads are how you upload different things from your computer, your different images. Emma's just uploaded her logo there now for us to just have a look at. So she's gonna drag it in. You can resize it by grabbing the right or left or bottom corners and just squeezing it together. You can rotate it on the bottom there as well, make it any way you want. But yeah, Emma's just dragged in her logo and she's moved it around there for us. So next is our photos tab. So photos gives us a bunch of free photos that Canva has to offer. This is really great because photos can be really tricky. If you grab something off the internet, you never know if somebody owns that or if you maybe have had to pay for it. So Canva is going to give you all these options so you don't have to worry about somebody messaging and going, that's my face on your Instagram and I didn't give you permission to do that. So yeah, they have a bunch of great options here if you just want to pull one out and put it into your post. Cool. Okay, so the next up is elements. So elements are very fun for like Instagram stories and stuff like that. They're almost like little stickers. If you use Snapchat before, they're very similar to that. There's animated ones that really attract attention. There's just little cute stuff. They're just stuff that, you know, that catches your viewer's eye, that you can just look at. As I said, this is really great for stories because stories are so quick that the more motion you have in them is better because you can attract a viewer's attention. You just want to make sure that you're not crowding it too much or people aren't going to understand what they're seeing. Okay, so that's just some little elements. We're going to move over to text. Okay, so there's a couple different options in text here. On the bottom, you have font combinations. So these are ones that Canva has already put together that you can just pick and pop on top there. There you go. But you also have the top options here, which is click text to add to a page. So you can add a heading, you can add a subheading, and you can add body text. So this is really good for laying out stuff. And then you just edit it by clicking on it and typing what you want to do. So while we're in the text, I'm just going to go up and you can see there's options at the top left corner there, right next to the black bar. You can change what font you want to use. So maybe your font, your business has a certain font that they like to use. So you can choose from there. You can also change the size of your font. If you look at the number 178 next to it, you can change it. Cool. You can also change the color of your font. And this is something that's really cool as well, because you can see that you can pick a new color and that will give you a color block. So you can just pick and drag whatever you want to look for. But in the options underneath, it gives you photo colors. So photo colors, Canva is looking at Emma's logo and it's saying that Emma's logo is a light blue with a light gray and a white. So it will give you the option to change the text to match Emma's colors. This is really cool because we were talking about aesthetic. You want to make sure that everything kind of matches together if you're doing a color aesthetic. So you can just go in and change your text to match your logo. So that's really cool. You can also just go to the default colors. All right, so once we're out of the colors, you can see that there's an option to italicize, or I never get that word right. You can also see there's an option to underline. Then there's an option to change the paragraph format. So this would be if you had like a large body of text and you wanted to change, did it start from the left? Does it start in the middle? Does it start from the right? You can also uppercase all of it. There we go. You can also bullet point it. So let's say you want to do a checklist, come to our business, checklist, buy our stuff, like all that kind of fun stuff. And you can also change the spacing of it. So if you had a large body of text and you found that it was really cramped together, you can just space it out a little bit more by adjusting that. Okay, so we've kind of looked into our text options here. We'll just take a look at videos. So these are all free videos that you can grab and put into your actual Canva file. There's lots of different stuff. As I said before, some of this is a premium feature, some of it's not. But let's say you've got, you know, you want to drag over a quick picture of the ocean or something like that. Now this is looking a little bit messy here now. I wouldn't post this to my Instagram, but we're just giving you kind of a little bit of a demonstration of it. But yeah, these are all free videos you can put in. And as I said before, this works really well with stories. Okay, going to our background feature here below. So a background is just going to put an image into the background of the post. Emma's just going to pick one there now. Oh, wow, that looks really great.
Wonderful.
So yeah, you can see that the image goes straight to the back. Now Canva works in layers. So the stuff at the front of the layer is in your foreground and the stuff at the back is in your background. There's also middle layers there as well. But now all of our text and elements are in the foreground so you can see it, and our back has fallen to the background. All right, looks like a great MySpace page there now. Okay, so now that we've talked about backgrounds there, we're gonna go to a folders. Folders are more of a premium feature, but that's just used to organize your stuff. So let's say that you had some templates and stuff that you had purchased, it'll go to your purchase folder. It's just a way of organizing your Canva. If you had the premium feature, you could put like a folder that's my business's logos or my company's logos, and you could just have all the different versions of your logos all there to drag and drop into the frame instead of having to upload them every single time you go into Canva. All right, and the last option is more there. So more is a great feature because you can connect different apps to Canva. The best way to do this is to connect your Instagram. So instead of having to export your image, put it out into your computer and then put it into Instagram, you can connect your Instagram account and post straight from Canva to Instagram. You can also connect Facebook and a bunch of other different stuff as well. But yeah, you kind of like cut out the middle ground. Okay, so that is the black bars right there. We also have an animate option up in the top left corner there as well. This is a new feature that's just come to Canva. This animates your entire post. So you'll see kind of stuff like flicks in. So this is great if you're making like a cool little Instagram story or a Snapchat story or something like that, and you just want like stuff to slide in. And yeah, there are some stuff that is, again, a premium feature, but there are some really good free options as well. Okay, so now that we've kind of taken a look at that, I'm going to explain the top right corner a little bit so you can see up on that gradient bar. So we have the name of the post, which is hi, you know, the Try Canva Pro, they're trying to get you to buy it now. Share, which is you can share it to other users or to your account and stuff like that. You can have play. Now, play is a button you hit if you've got like a video or something like that and you want to preview it before you post it anywhere. That shows you what it's going to look like. You can also download it from that screen as well. And then you've got the actual download there as well. Okay, so let's say you wanted to make a like a story, an Instagram story that has like 2 different things to it. You can add a new page. So Emma's just gonna show us there. It's at the very bottom, add new page, and see our background is kept along with it. So it helps seam everything together. So we can scroll up. So there's our first post, and there's our second post. So if we play it, we're going to notice that it goes from our first post and then flips over to our second post. So you've got a lot of text that you're trying to include in your story, make it a 2-page post so that you can just flip through it so everything's not so cramped together. Okay, so we've kind of done a little bit of an explainer here on Canva. If you've got any more questions, you can ask us there as well. I'm just going to add this in before we finish up there. At the bottom right-hand corner of the screen, you can see that there's a number 32. That is a % you're viewing it at. You can change that if you want to look closer or if you want to look farther away from the image. I prefer to work looking at the whole image, but everyone has a different workflow. So yeah, so this is Canva. Emma is just going to go through a little demonstration about making like a personal post. I'm going to let her take the lead on that there, and she's just going to make a little post for us.
Okay, so I'm going to delete all these wonderful posts that we just made because they're not very, they're not really what we want. So I'm going to pretend that I'm a flower business. Now I'm going to go over to my photos and I'm just going to search flower. It's already there. And what we're going to do is first we're going to grab a background. So we'll find a flower background. So that's a good place to start. Again, we can type that in. Let's pick this one. So now I have this background. Again, like Chelsea said, it's going to stay. If I add a new page, it's going to be there already. So I am going to upload, say this is my flower logo. I'm going to upload that. I'm going to make it a little bit smaller, put it in the corner maybe. So we're going to put that there, and then we're going to go over to photos now. There's a bunch of flowers here. Maybe we want this one. Maybe this is a picture of our flower that we've uploaded ourselves through photos. And we can go to elements and we can, we'll go to text and we'll say that our flowers are 50% off. So when that loads in, we can make this a bit smaller and put it up here maybe, and we'll bring this one down a little bit, down and out the way. You want to make these things like to your brand. So obviously I don't really own any flower businesses, but like I can say, add text and say, oh, this is now going to be the last time you can get these flowers and stuff like that. If I want to add a video, let's see, we can do flowers. Oh, we want to do flowers. We can add, go down. You can add grapevines. Maybe this is a video of the flowers that we have in stock and we want to put them up here. Just something like that, like, yeah. So, and then I can connect my Instagram to it and then say, I'm going to post this on my actual Instagram, or I'm going to post it to my story and I'm going to tag some people in it when I get to Instagram and do it like that. But yeah, so, and then when we press play up here, we'll be able to see, and we can see the video down here, what would be playing, and then you can see my logo and stuff like that. So yeah, that's really how you use Canva. It's really, really good. It's really fast once you start to get used to it.
All right.
Yeah.
So Emma was awesome. We do have a question in the chat there. Can you show an example of an Instagram story using multiple pages? So we can go back and do that. Now we don't have an actual Instagram connected, so we won't be able to just post it up. But Emma, you want to just show us how to do a story with multiple pages? So there's a little bit of movement there.
Yeah. What I can do. Do you mean you mean a story, right?
Yeah, a story.
Okay, perfect. Let's see now. So you would obviously pick the size of your Instagram. Like you can, there's an option up here for an Instagram cover. So again, you could, we'll do this back page to it. And we can just add some text really quick. So we'll put this one on. And again, you can make this as fancy as you want, but just for demonstration's sake, I won't. So you'd make this size, the Instagram story size. So say that is your first post, and then it's a new year. So we're gonna add this to our second post. So now these are your two, so you can see page 2, and you can even add a title there if you want to. That's not gonna show up in your Instagram story. And then what we can do is we're gonna go and add some animation to it. Or we can change the text to it. So give me 1 second. And we're gonna click animate. So we're gonna do a block, and we can do that on both. I think it's once you do it on one, you can do it on all of them. Yeah, you can. So now if we press play, that's what your Instagram story would look like, and then it's gonna go on to the next one. So it's gonna slide into the next one. But yeah, that's pretty much how you do the Instagram stories. It's not too, it's just like just using Canva. I think that's the biggest thing you're gonna have to do is like just in regards to getting used to it.
Yeah, so there's a ton of different features with Canva as well, and the best way to get into it is to just play around with it. I wish we could go through and explain every feature, but we'd be here for days. So I hope we answered your question. If you got any more, you can ask us there in a second because we're going to go back to a demonstration. And yeah, we're going to open up the question period there for you guys. So again, you can feel free to ask us over Zoom, or if you'd like to type it in the chat. We're here if you want to ask us how we got into design, or what we did or what we did in our program, or any questions about Canva or anything else. We're open.
Or we can just talk. whatever you guys want us to do. Instagram can be really difficult though. I know, like starting out and stuff like that is really discouraging at the start. I just want to say, like, just keep at it, just be consistent. You will get to where you want to be eventually. Just take time and a lot of effort, and like you said, using Canva to make your own posts and stuff like that. Don't be discouraged. That's my biggest thing, that if you take anything from this, don't be discouraged if you don't get 1,000 followers in a week. It's really unrealistic. Like, you just have to, like I said, grow yourself. Don't do it for other people, do it like for you, just because like, oh, I do want to grow my own thing. Obviously you want to like make money, that's a given, but just starting off at the start, you're not going to make thousands of dollars like in a month. It's just unrealistic. You can't expect that when you're going into it. So every follower you get, just consider that, be like, they want to see what I post, and they don't know what I do until I show them. So yeah.
Will you chat with participants outside of this session? We actually do have a little slide if you want to go to that, Emma.
Yeah.
So you can email us after this session if there's somebody outside the session who think you would have a question. We are also going to post this recording on social media. If they want to ask a question on Skills Canada NL's Facebook, they can ask us in the comments and I will make sure to answer. But yeah, send me or Emma an Instagram. Oh my God, an Instagram, getting stuck in my head there now. Send me or Emma a question on email and we will answer you as soon as we can. We love being asked questions, guys. So yeah, if there's somebody outside the session you think would benefit from this type of education, send us an email. All right, how often should you post on Instagram? Emma, you want to answer this?
It's not realistic, but once a day is probably going to be your best if you have time to do that. If not every second day, every third day, but no less than, like, try not to do just like 1 week, because then people want to look forward to your posts and stuff like that. Once a day is probably the best thing you do. I wouldn't post more than once a day. Maybe you could post like an actual image and maybe a story. But I wouldn't constantly flood your feed just with a bunch of pictures like that. I wouldn't suggest doing that. But again, it's not my brand, it's yours. But in regards to um, like just guidelines and stuff like that, once a day is probably your best bet. Again, around lunchtime, evening time, like maybe you could post a story in your time zone when people are on their lunch break. So like say 12:30, you can post one then, and then maybe post a story when people are getting off work and like getting home to their families and stuff like that. And maybe in the evening, if you wanted to, like you can go do a bunch of research on what other people are doing and maybe do something like similar but in your brand, your way. So yeah, I'd say around lunchtime and same way.
Yeah, and the same way Emma said, it's not exactly feasible because we all don't have the time to make posts every day. But as you said, the more often you post, the more often you're going to be picked up by Instagram's algorithm, and the more often you're going to get pushed to other different viewers and stuff like that. Okay, when did you guys first find an interest in these skills? So I'll do a quick one about me first, and then Emma, you can go. I found my interest through this with Skills Canada. I competed in 2D animation for 4 years, I think 4 years. I really did like animation, but I wanted to combine both the aspect of making like things in motion and drawing because I had a huge passion for drawing as well. And graphic design seemed like the best fit for me. I was able to draw and create static images, but also create motion graphics with my animation background. So I applied to the College of North Graphic Design program and I started there and I love the program there. There's some amazing people. The instructors are fantastic, but that's how I found my skills. I found my interest through drawing and my passion for animation through Skills Canada NL. And then I applied to the program. And then what about you?
Yours is a lot better than mine. I had a really big interest in video games and how they were made. I've always loved art, and I've always wondered how people can just sit down with a pen and paper and just draw, or pencil and paper and just draw. And I kind of wanted to do the same thing. So I also applied for the graphic design program. Me and Chelsea are the youngest two in there, which is really, really funny. But yeah, I think video games was the main reason why I did that. I know like I could have done like video game art and design and stuff like that, but I kind of wanted to understand like the component that the video game would come in, and we did packaging as well and how that would be designed, and then I can combine the two. If I ever do want to decide to go in and make video games, I can create that, and then I know how graphic design works to market myself properly for that video game, so they kind of go hand in hand. I've kind of recently really started to enjoy web development and stuff like that. So I think I'm going to go further, like in regards to coding and the back end of websites and stuff like that. So then I know how to do the back end and I know how to do the front end as well. So that, again, they'll go hand in hand with each other. So I think, yeah, that's really graphic design for me. I really like web and I really like social media marketing. Like Chelsea said, I know I don't really like talking about it, but I've had Instagram accounts with 200,000 people, 500,000 people follow them. And like that's not a brand, that was more like entertainment purposes and stuff like that. And then bigger brands, like you won't think so, but like people like Fashion Nova, maybe like Old Navy, places like that will contact you and be like, hey, if you want to post this picture up, I'm not going to say the amount, but like if you want to post this picture on your story for 24 hours, we will send you a certain amount of money. And like sometimes the people only ask for, like depending on your rates, people only ask you to have it up for maybe like 2 hours and stuff like that. So that all depends on how much you grow. But again, don't be discouraged if you don't get that for 6 years. Like that's just how it is. Like you just gotta grow.
Yeah. Do I have to be on every social media platform with my business? Thank you, Megan, for that question. So it kind of depends because social media is a constantly evolving thing. So right now, the platforms that I would say like be on Facebook. You have to be on Facebook. Please be on Instagram. Twitter is a really good one as well. Those are the three like big ones. I'd be like, please definitely get on those. There are some up and coming things as well. Some businesses tend to have their own Snapchats so they can post different stories and stuff. So Snapchat is like a video like based service. So they could post different Snapchats to those followers. TikTok, as a comment was just made in my chat, is a very big platform with a younger audience with an especially big age. I think it's from 12 to 16 is their biggest age platform. And yeah, there's hundreds of millions of people on that as well. That is also a video-based service for people who aren't familiar with TikTok, it's all short videos. So if you posted a short video of, showing your brand sign or something like that, that's, another huge platform as well. LinkedIn is more for like a business purpose, but we don't see that as a lot with marketing. But yeah, the three big ones, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. Okay, besides aesthetics, what would you say is the most appealing aspect you find businesses use to get more followers on Instagram? Personally, from me, I love when businesses use a little bit of animation in their posts, something with movement. I find that the engagement rates for movement and video and animation are always better than a static post, just because in your peripheral vision, you're going to see the movement and your eye is going to be attracted to it. So yeah, I think that's a very good aspect, is for businesses to make sure that they do have, or business or brands, or even your personal stuff, to make sure you throw in a little bit of video or animation or motion graphics in there somewhere, just to really catch your audience's eye. What do you think, Emma?
I'm just going to go back to the do I have to be on every social media platform in my business? It really depends on how far you want to take it. Like, I know someone in the chat just said TikTok. You could go viral on TikTok, and like then your business is going to get more exposure. But like, again, if you don't go viral the first time, don't worry, you can try again. But like, a lot of people like transition videos and stuff like that, and going viral will do good things to your business. Say if you're an online store, it would be great for your business, because then people will be like, oh my gosh, this is what they do. And then the growth is just like insane. So like all it takes is one viral video on TikTok. Like, all jokes aside, like it is a really good social media platform. It's got a lot of funny videos on there, I have to say, but stuff like that is depending on how far you want to take it. Again, Chelsea said Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, those are the three main ones. But like, again, if you want to have Snapchat, it really just depends on how far you want to take it. You can have a Pinterest, like, and people can follow you on Pinterest, but keeping up with those social medias and stuff like that, you're going to be seeing your screen time go up a lot more, and maybe you don't want to go on your phone as much as you really thought you would, even though it's business, and then you're not going to be able to keep up with all of them. So I'd say just keep up with the ones like Facebook, Instagram are probably the top two. Depending on your audience, I would, if it's an older audience, like a lot of like around 30s. I don't really want to call anyone old, but like
old.
30s, like 40s above there, like I would say stick to Facebook. If you're like a teenager, maybe like younger than that, in your 20s, stick to Instagram, because that's kind of becoming like the bigger thing now. So yeah, again, depending on what your preferences and what your audience is in your business and what your business is directed to, I would say stick with that.
Yeah, so I'll just go back. Thank you, Alyssa, for that question about the aesthetics there. But the from Julie White Celtic, I don't want to mispronounce your name there. But yeah, what was the other platform? Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter are the big three that I would say. Twitter is usually text-based, but it's a very good way to keep up and communicate with your different businesses, because sometimes people will tweet you and be like, oh, are you open on this day, or something like that. And it's a very good way to communicate with your group. So yeah, as Emma said, for different demographics and target groups, you might want to target different social media platforms. I'm not going to call anyone over 30 old like Emma, but yeah, but yeah, the different demographics do have different social media platforms that they prefer, and this is going to change. In a year, another platform is going to come out, and it's going to grow again. So this is a constantly changing and evolving environment. But yeah, that's it. Oh, thank you, Patrick Flanagan. Got to head out. Thanks for the info. Thank you so much. Okay, I'll wait one more minute. And if no one else has any questions, we're so thankful for the questions that everyone asked us today. So I'll wait one more minute. And again, thank you so much, Julie. But yeah, if there's any questions, you can take a picture of our emails and stuff. We are so thankful for everyone for joining us today. It's so awesome to be here and talk with you guys. I'm sorry for the little blimp that we had at the beginning of the session, but yeah, thank you so much. Send us an email if you need anything. Okay. All right. I think we're good. Okay, everyone have a beautiful